Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Sharia Woodbury, the congregation's settled minister. Whether you're attending online or in person, on Sunday morning or later in the week, I'm glad you've chosen to spend a part of your week with First Unitarian's community. We come together each week to worship, which from the Latin means to remember that which is of worth. And so we gather together to reground ourselves in our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It's a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It's a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we invite you to bring your whole self into this space. If you're joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign in when you attend that way. This will allow you to participate in the comments for things like joys and concerns. All are invited to subscribe to our channel and, of course, share videos that you found meaningful with others who might be touched by them. And now I'd like to invite forward the president of our Board of Trustees of the congregation, Douglas Lee Regier, for a special announcement. Speaking of joys and concerns, by the way, we have a book at the back of the sanctuary on a table there that you can write in if you'd like to have one shared later in the service.
Good morning. Get my proper specs on here. Well, I am Douglas Lee Regier. I am the president of the Board of Trustees. I'm here today to invite you, to coax, cajole, twist your metaphorical arm. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Is that better? I'm inviting you to a town hall meeting today in the sanctuary right after the service. Except we will take a 15-minute break, go down, grab something real quick, come back up. And attendance is required. I'm a school teacher. For members. Yeah, for members. Visitors, you're welcome to come down to the coffee room. And if you happen to want to come and see what's going on with the church business, you're welcome to come back for that. The town hall meeting will provide you with important information you will need to make decisions about the future of the church. You will want to be a part of this very important process of decision-making. You will be given information about our building and budget that will help shape where we go from here. Then, between now and our semi-annual meeting, November 3rd, your board will conduct 2 more town hall meetings, this time with discernment circles, discussion circles, where you will be asked for your input on the direction of this church. So please, don't miss today's informational town hall starting 15 minutes after the service in this very room. Thank you.
And I want to say a special thanks to Douglas and our Board of Trustees who've been working very hard to help serve this congregation. We're very eager for your input. Our church occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe-Missouri tribal nations whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We'd also like to express our respect to the Ponca, Winnebago, and Santee Sioux tribes, all of Nebraska, and many others represented in the Omaha metro area. Let us all continue to educate ourselves and support causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous peoples in our area. Again, welcome to worship. At this time, I invite forward Valerie Palacios to light the flaming chalice. Welcome home, Valerie. Will you join me in the chalice lighting words? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thank you, Valerie. Here we are,
together,
each facing our different human tasks,
or maybe the same central one,
to embrace the lessons life delivers,
to discern and respond as we grow,
to refuse harm and cherish flourishing.
May we know ourselves as vessels of infinite possibility,
Holders of each other's heartaches and tales of joy alike,
weavers of one story,
in which we all have a part. I invite you to rise if that feels good in your body and join in singing our opening hymn, number 1000 in the Teal hymnal, Morning Has Come. Each week, we practice sharing with others through a community offering. Half of undesignated gifts are donated to a local cause which resonates with Unitarian Universalist values. If you are online or prefer to give with your smartphone, you can use the QR code or link. Our Share the Plate recipient for September is Planned Parenthood, a nonprofit healthcare provider offering a wide range of patient services for sexual and reproductive health. We encourage you to learn more about Planned Parenthood by visiting their website at plannedparenthood.org. And I know this is the time many of us feel especially good about donating to reproductive justice and freedom. Thank you for your generosity. At this time, we share joys and concerns among our community. When we let others know the wonderful things that are happening in our lives, they can be buoyed with us. And when we share the things that are more difficult, our community can offer care and support. Colin, do we have joys and concerns? Nothing submitted today. Okay. Well, I want to say it was a great joy to, Elaine might be about to say the same thing. Thank you to Daniel and Diana Bird. They offer a garden party as part of our auction in their beautiful home with gardens, and it was lovely. And here we have one from Erica, holding several friends and concern who suddenly lost spouses, one in particular who has a young child, and a friend who is hospitalized, hoping for answers to their chronic disease management. So we hold in our circle of care these two friends of Erica's. Cindy Nather says, Happy Grandparents' Day to all the grandparents here. Lovely. I also want to mention for anybody who might be watching online later in the week, if you heard about the town hall, but you're only hearing about it after the town hall, we are planning to record it. So please make a point of watching. We want all of our members and friends to be able to receive this important information and be part of the conversation. Well, holding in this circle of community, all of the joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, I invite you to sing with me. Coming Home, which is, if you want the music, it's inside the back cover of the teal hymnal. And feel free to close your eyes if you know it. Of this music, I invite you into a time of contemplation. You might want to make yourself comfortable where you're seated, gently close your eyes, perhaps put your hands together if that feels good. After a common prayer, we'll hold a time of shared silence, which I'll end with the sound of the bell. But first, I share these prayerful words of Molly Clement Jenkins. Written for a church reopening after COVID closure, this prayer, adapted from a traditional Celtic passage, continues to resonate. O Spirit of love, we offer you our conflicted feelings, our apprehensions and our aspirations, the distant pew, the changed roles, the fear of the unknown. O Spirit of love, we acknowledge that you are in our midst. Circle this place and make it our own. Keep peace within, keep evil out. May all memories, influences, or power that are not you flee from this place. May the Spirit of love guard and welcome us. As we turn our eyes upon each other, calm us and settle us. Help us feel at home with ourselves and with one another, so there is no need to pretend. Help us be ourselves and to welcome these new faces as our family. Blessed be. A time of silence for your own inward prayer or reflection.
I have a reading this morning by Jen Crow entitled, "Take What You Need and Leave the Rest Behind." Some of the best advice I ever received was this: in whatever situation you find yourself, take what you need and leave the rest behind. Don't waste your energy arguing. Just take what you need and leave the rest behind. Over the years, I've found this advice works not only for family gatherings and 12-step meetings, but also for the larger project of spiritual living too. And the best news of all, this taking what we need and leaving the rest behind isn't only a one-time thing. We can do it anytime. Looking back over our lives, we can hear the stories anew, choosing where to focus our attention and where to widen our view. We can let go of old ways of understanding that no longer serve us. And we can wriggle our way free, becoming the meaning makers and the storytellers of our own lives. All right. We get to choose what we need in a given moment. And what we need gets to change.
I'm on a spiritual journey, a church member declared. She was trying to explain why it was so important that we offer opportunities for religious exploration. Religious education is not an extra for her. It's a central purpose of church. I'm on a spiritual journey, she repeated. The new expression of our Unitarian Universalist values, adopted at our National General Assembly in June, calls this transformation. Here's how transformation is defined. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. I think William Ellery Channing, founder of Unitarianism, would like this new expression of a long-standing value of our faith. Channing wrote that the great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own. The great end is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish the spiritual life. This is the heart of our learning faith, helping people to awaken the soul, to transform and grow spiritually and ethically. But what does this term spiritually mean? To me, spirituality has to do with the wholeness of a person. Each one of us is body, mind, and heart. And although we can name them separately, they're not separate parts of us. A human being is a whole organism with thoughts, feelings, perceptions, experiences, all interwoven like a fine cloth. A person is like a tapestry, all the threads forming a unique pattern, not just a pile of threads. When the inherently integrated aspects of a human being are split apart, mind separated from heart, separated from body, it's a sign of alienation. So to go on a spiritual journey is to integrate the various aspects of ourselves into one whole. Now, we're also part of greater wholes beyond ourselves, part of a family, a church community, a city, even a world community of people. And we're part of an ecological community, a great interdependent web of life. So to go on a spiritual journey is also to find our place as a part of these larger wholes of human community and the natural habitat of our earth home. I say we are ever growing, not only because Unitarian Universalism tends to nurture and attract people who like to explore ideas, people who are hungry to grow throughout their lives, but also because this open-endedness is one of the hallmarks of liberal theology. We have long declared that revelation is not sealed, that truth cannot be limited to the pages of the Bible or any other static holy book. Mark Christian explains it this way: however much truth we discover in the world, we remain open to new truth from wherever it may come. For the transcendentalists of the 19th century, this meant experiencing nature directly. For the free religionists of that same century, it meant exploring world religions. For humanists in the 20th century, it meant turning to science. For me, Mark Christian goes on, as a third-generation Unitarian Universalist, ironically, it has meant rediscovering the Hebrew and Christian scriptures. We're not limited to any one source of wisdom or any one interpretation of sacred story. Revelation is not sealed. Truth is ever unfolding. You might call this the spirit of the quest. That is the attitude we try to share with our children from the earliest ages in church. Does it mean one can never find solid answers? Not necessarily. Or that a faithful seeker has to change over time? No. Only that there is an openness to what one's own life experience may bring forward, an openness to new insight, and yes, the possibility of coming to see some aspect of life and ourselves in a new light. Whether you are new here or a longtime member, our aspiration at First Unitarian is for every adult who wants to go deeper on a learning path to be able to find that support here. Unitarian Universalists, of course, are not defined by a static set of shared beliefs, a creed. But that does not mean that we as individuals don't have beliefs, at least provisional ones. Coming-of-age programs for youth in our churches often culminate in youth writing and sharing credos, what they believe at that point in their lives, an expression of that. I've noticed that adults in UU spaces are often hungry for conversations about beliefs too. I remember participating in such a conversation one spring at a place called U, which was a UU camp in the Texas Hill Country. My family went to a weekend family camp at U when we lived in Texas. And while all the kids were off doing some crafts, some of the adults circled up on some couches. The chaplain of the camp invited us each to share what beliefs are important to us. I'll admit I was a bit grumpy when this conversation started because I don't regard belief as the ultimate definer of religion or spirituality. The emphasis on creeds and Christianity seems to me an accident of history, and I don't like to be limited to beliefs when discussing religion or spirituality. But as people went around the circle, I was fascinated by the different ways people expressed what was important to them. I noticed how many people perked up as we listened to each other. Folks who at the outset might have claimed different theological labels, humanist, theist, Christian, mystic, free thinker, they discovered that they had a lot of common ground after all, and that the differences were interesting. Hearing some of the life experiences behind our different beliefs was rich and rewarding. Well, we have opportunities here at First Unitarian for those kinds of conversations. There's a QR code on the back of your order of service that you can use to go to our events page, where you'll see a wide range of options. Many ongoing groups offer avenues of growth at the church for anyone who chooses to participate. These include things like several book groups, both fiction and nonfiction, workshops offered here periodically by the Alternatives to Violence program, an insight meditation group, which is being hosted monthly here by the Mindfulness Outreach Initiative, a compassionate communication group, and CUPS, our Earth-centered group. Unique opportunities abound as well. Just this week, a workshop will be held here on healing through loving kindness. And if you haven't heard, a new offering sponsored by the church's Board of Trustees is the Lead with Heart series this fall, a wonderful personal growth opportunity, and it's not too late to sign up for that. Volunteers and staff members of the church also periodically offer classes or programs. This fall, Jody Rowan is leading a 3-session book study on the mental health crisis of our young people and what we can do about it. Now, I consider groups with a strong community-building focus as forces of connection and personal development too. The Sanctuary Singers, our choir, our community night potlucks and game nights, the Bridge Group, and service and action teams, like the group that makes meals for youth emergency services, and our UU the Vote folks who are out there working for democracy. All of these various programs provide avenues to continue your spiritual journey, growing into ever greater wholeness as a person. I want to give a special shout out to our sharing circles. This year, there will be one small group session per month, meeting after worship in the lounge. No registration is required to participate in a sharing circle, though many people do attend regularly. And the first session will be on September 22nd, so that starts in just a couple of weeks. Sharing circles provide a way to connect more deeply with others in community. The circle will explore important Unitarian Universalist values in a supportive, non-judgmental group setting. Participants can grow by sharing their truths and listening to the truths of others. A sharing circle gives people the opportunity to take what you need and leave the rest behind, as Jen Crow described in today's reading. Looking back, Crow wrote, we can hear our stories anew, choosing where to focus our attention and where to widen our view. We can let go of old ways of understanding that no longer serve us, and we can wiggle our way free, becoming the meaning makers and the storytellers of our own lives. We get to choose what we need in a given moment. And what we need gets to change. We are ever growing. This year, the Sharing Circle will return to using the rich materials provided by the Soul Matters curriculum. Now, that word soul means different things to different people. It's almost a Rorschach test. Ask someone how they define the meaning of soul. Are we saving souls? Seeking soul-satisfying experiences? Grooving to soul music? Quaker writer and educator Parker Palmer, who has taught many people to create circles of trust, describes soul like this. The soul is like a wild animal, tough, resilient, savvy, self-sufficient, and yet exceedingly shy. If we want to see a wild animal, the last thing we should do is to go crashing through the woods, shouting for the creature to come out. But, Palmer says, if we're willing to walk quietly into the woods and sit silently for an hour or two at the base of a tree, the creature we are waiting for may well emerge, and out of the corner of an eye, we'll catch a glimpse of the precious wildness that we seek. One definition I've heard for soul that I really like is that your soul is your deepest authenticity. Now that's a kind of saving souls that I can get behind, giving people opportunities to be their most authentic self. Don't we all hunger for that? This definition of soul, your deepest authenticity, helps make sense of the name of the program our Sharing Circle will use this year, Soul Matters. I'd like to share a little with you from the founder of the program, Scott Taylor. He describes the theology that underlies the Soul Matters program, which was created by and for Unitarian Universalist congregations in all of their diversity of theology and experience. Taylor explains that the Soul Matters program is based on a theology of connection. Here's what he says. While some define religion as a belief in God or an afterlife, UUs have focused on the Latin roots of the word religion, which translates to rebinding, tying back together, or reconnection. For most UUs, it's not so much about believing correct things as it is about restoring and maintaining connections that bring human wholeness and flourishing. You might say we focus more on lifelines than beliefs. Taylor goes on, this emphasis on connection leads us to frame the human condition and struggle in a unique way and distinguishes us from other religious traditions. For instance, we honor the way our Christian friends focus on the struggle against sin and thus invite people into the journey of cleansing, forgiveness, and acceptance by God. We also honor the way Eastern religions focus on the struggle with suffering and craving, and thus invite people into the journey of detachment. But, Taylor says, our focus is more on the struggle with natural human dynamics and unhealthy cultural systems that leave us feeling isolated and disconnected. This, Taylor says, is why we broke with our traditional Christian past, and why our UU theologies, in one way or another, place separation rather than sin at their center. So separation is what UUs often see as the core challenge that we're trying to overcome by coming together in religious community. UU theologians and thinkers tend to zero in on what Taylor calls 3 fundamental forms of spiritual disconnection. There's disconnection from our own deepest self, disconnection from the giftedness and grace of life, and disconnection from needs that are greater than our own. The antidote to these forms of alienation are ways of reconnecting then. Reconnecting to my own deepest self, reconnecting to life and all of its beauty, and reconnecting with other people. If this kind of connection sounds good to you, I encourage you to take time to review the opportunities available here at First Unitarian, and to consider what will help foster your continuing spiritual journey this fall. And by the way, if you have an idea for a new offering that you'd like to lead, please reach out. That's most welcome. Not only can a church like this one provide much-needed community for individuals on a spiritual journey, but that community is intergenerational. That's one of the great gifts of a place like this. And as we begin a new year of religious education for the children and youth of our community this month, I'm reminded how rich and rewarding it can be to work with younger people. A teacher can learn as much as the kids and receive from our precious young people as much as they give. Teachers can take turns, so you don't have to be on every Sunday. If you'd like to explore the possibility of serving as an occasional teacher or assistant for any age level, please connect with our religious education director, Christina Strong. Know that orientation and support are provided. Again, it's a wonderful way of growing as a person yourself, as well as connecting with those young folks. Whatever our age, whatever our ways of connecting, may each of us continue to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. And may each of us experience the wholeness that is the birthright of us all. So may it be. Amen. I invite you to rise for our closing hymn, number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky.
Our closing words this morning are by Ken McCusick, and they're entitled To Serve, to Grow, and to Love. In the name of all that is holy, may the connections between us inspire and sustain us. May the flame of life within us and among us be a sacred reminder that we are all called to serve, to grow, and to love as we continue this journey of transformation.
Your 15-minute, oh yes, applaud the beauty. Wonderful music. I was going to be a little more facetious. Your 15 minutes begins now. We'll call you back to the sanctuary at that